Hello everyone, this time I want to introduce to you the operation instructions of the security policy. This time I will focus on the advanced part. So let's get started. Advanced features. Why is it called advanced? The first one is advanced can set outgoing type and the incoming type settings. Except for IPsec VPN related rules, almost all types of rules can be set in advance. The second is you need to pay more attention to the order of rules. The order of rules tab is advanced, then incoming, then outgoing. If you only use outgoing and incoming without setting advanced at all, the order of the rules will be sorted in the tab order. So you only need to check the order of the rules on the page separately. But if you use advanced, you should pay attention to the order of rules. For example, the order of incoming type rules should be forward. The order of rules like outgoing type should be backward. If all incoming, outgoing, advanced tab are defined, you must check the rules on each tab to see if there is an incorrect order. The third is it can be set with more special rules. In general, our common rules are mostly LAN-to-LAN routing or LAN-to-WAN NAT or WAN-to-LAN mapping. There are some rare rules such as WAN-to-LAN routing or bridge to LAN mapping only can be set in advance. So these two kinds of rules cannot be set in incoming or outgoing tab. This is the difference between the advanced and the outgoing tabs. The left side is advanced and the right side is outgoing tab. You can see that basically the two sides are the same. The only difference is that advanced has more options in the source interface than outgoing. The source interface of advanced can choose external interfaces besides internal ones. The source interface of outgoing can only find the internal interface as the source. Therefore, in comparison, advanced can provide greater setting flexibility than outgoing. If you want to, this is advanced and incoming. And if you want to create an incoming type rule in advance, you need to go to Network Address Translation item and select Mapped IP or Mapped Port. So this is the screen when you click on Advanced at the beginning. Then you can select Mapped IP or Mapped Port from Network Address Translation. So you can choose them here. And you will see the settings screen like this. Next, I will talk about the difference between advanced and incoming. The left side is advanced, and the right side is incoming. You can see that the settings screen on both sides are basically the same. The difference is that Advanced has more source interfaces to choose. You can choose interface sources such as LAN or VPN. In terms of settings, note that the incoming page will automatically include the LAN source in its source interface without requiring the Advanced to select it. Therefore, on the incoming page, you will only see the WAN source interface available for selection. So when you turn to using Advanced for settings, if your mapped rules are not only open to external users, but also need to allow internal LAN users to connect through this rule, remember to include your internal LAN in the source interface as well. And Advanced site gateway just keep in default when you use mapped port or mapped IP. Next is Advanced setup steps. The first 4 steps is the basic settings for security policy, and this part must be configured. The step 5 policy is optional field. It allows administrator to decide whether to apply control updates to the rules, such as bandwidth control or application control. Even if no control updates are applied, the rule will still be effective. Step 6 is the firewall protection settings, and this is optional field too. So you can choose to use the protection or not. It's decided by you. Next is an advanced setting demonstration. I have 2 interfaces. The status, I have 2 interfaces. One is LAN and the other is WAN1. LAN is 192.168.1.0/24. And WAN1, I have an external IP address 182.168.186.87. And the upper part, the upper device has a routing network segment set for the LAN interface, and the NU has a routing network segment set for the upper layer device. The requirements are these. The first one is allow WAN to connect to internal server 1.100 via routing mode. And the second is open the 18443 port of external IP address base mapped to the 443 port of 1.200. After you finish the setting, you need to note that such as the order of the rules and the second requirement, what will be impact if the necessary source interface is omitted. The first requirement is allow WAN to connect to internal server 1.100 via routing mode. First, the first step is to choose a name and decide what type of our rules it is. The requirement is considered to be of the incoming type. It is a rule for external connections coming into the internal system. But the incoming type is only for setting up port map. Therefore, for the incoming routing rules like this, you need to configure them in the advanced setting. The second step is select the source interface and choose the connection mode. I select WAN1 as the source, and the mode is default routing. The third step is configure the source and the destination IP and the port. I set 1.100 as the destination IP address. The fourth step is permit these packets to pass through. The complete configuration rule will look like this, and then the up layer device can connect to 1.100 through the WAN interface. I only configure the first 4 steps and did not apply any other control or protection functions in these rules. The second requirement is to open the 18443 port of external IP address 192.168.186.87, map it to the 443 port of 1.100. The first step is to name it and decide the type of the rules. For rules that required port is opening, we need to set them with port mapped. The requirement also needs port forwarding, so I will use mapped port. So in the first step, I choose port mapped port, and then select my source interface. I will check the LAN interface and the WAN interface as my source interface. The port is 18443, which maps to 443 internally. The third step is to not restrict the source IP address and set the destination network to the external interface IP address 186.87. The fourth step is to permit these packets to pass through. After the second requirement is complete, the rule will look like this, and the configuration steps only use step 1 to 4. If you want to confirm which ports are mapped, you can hover the mouse pointer over DST, and it will be displayed. Once this configuration is complete, it means I can use this URL to connect to port 443 on 1.200. In the advanced settings, there will be many source interfaces to choose from. Both internal and external interface need to be selected by administrator. For incoming, the system will automatically include all LAN source interfaces without the need for the administrator to select them. Assuming only the WAN interface is selected in the advanced settings, and the LAN interface is not selected, then only user coming from the WAN1 interface can successfully connect to this URL. When user on the internal LAN segment try to connect to this URL, the network will not work because it is not included in the source interface. Therefore, to avoid configuration errors that could be caused, users is unable to connect to the target. So you need to check your settings during the setup. That's all for the operation of Advanced. Thank you for your listening.